Yes, sir. It's the Print Factory Show here on a Wednesday. And that was a little sweep action we had over the weekend, courtesy of JBC going 11-0 in his bets for the NFL weekend. So sick from him. He had premium bets, went obviously 5-0. All winners over in the Discord. Our own K Phallic parlayed those winners into 70K in bets and parlays. So, big night for him, and members parlayed it for we had some awesome screenshots, like $2. That
The one was
guy's
$2
like
into like 1,900 or something.
Yeah, it was literally $2 into like 17 something. It was 1,700 or something like that. So massive screenshots from a lot of members. Great to see on the bet side. So if you're a DFS member but you don't have the betting subscription, it's a cheap add-on. I don't see why you wouldn't do it. Tony, I know you've been giving winners in there too. I dropped some nuggets in there for today for NBA. So dropped a little nuggets for the Nuggets here later tonight.
Nice. That's good hosting there. Nice.
You like that. Yeah. So
dropping
tidbits money, there. You got to take advantage of those easy nuggets. So you got to get it while
going back with the nuggets. Take advantage of those easy nuggets. So you're on fire today.
I'm rolling right now. I feel good. I felt like I did well over the weekend on the main slate. Didn't ship anything, but I doubled my money. I felt good about my teams. Was close. I had good showdown slates. I hit the showdowns. I was one off each day, but the captains were right on. The game script was right on. I kind of hit everything the way I wanted. So I'm feeling good, Tony. I feel like I'm catching that groove. You know that groove that you caught like 4 weeks ago before you started winning? I feel like I'm catching it now. I haven't shipped anything yet, but I feel like it's coming. You know what I mean? I felt like I've been close the last week or two, and I feel like it's coming here eventually. So hopefully this week is my week.
Definitely. And it always comes in waves, as we've all seen as professional gamblers or whatever you want to call us. Comes in waves. It goes bad at times. It goes good. You just need a couple big hits, which is the key, as we've all seen. You just need the one or two big ones where makes up for your whole year. I mean, you hit one 300K, 250, 400, 500, you're set for the whole year. You got to get it, though, is the problem. I know you're going to get yours soon, though. It's been super close. I know it's coming. It always comes. For all three of us, we've seen it. Even when you got to dig deep sometimes, everyone would gamble if it was easy. You got to get through the cold stretches. And it's not easy, I'll be honest. I had a very cold stretch all summer. Sometimes you got to dig deep, get out of it. And I still think we got big hits coming. I know ODB had a good 4K Millie team too this week. He got in there on the fantasy side. Good solid team. I think 7K back or something. So like you said, double up. We got a big one coming between the three of us. I know we got probably a Millie coming soon. I can feel it between this show. So we gotta get the big dog coming.
Yeah, we're going to get a big dog coming. We got the big dog, though, in the house, and I'm talking about ODB here, the legend ODB, bringing us the winners today. I know you're feeling a little under the weather, ODB, but
still here, though, because he's a grown man. He's in here still fighting through it for the people.
Right. Yeah, when we're sick, we don't just bow out of shows here. We're here fighting for the people.
I got the COVID brain right now, so if I'm slow or something, that's why. Brain's not 100% functional. But I will say that if you want some good stuff, make sure you follow us all on Twitter. I put the stuff that I really love out there as well. And on here, we give good bets. If you were following, I'm sure you made some good money on betting Bama to make the championship. Tony wrote on that with me. That was absolutely free money they were giving away on DraftKings and FanDuel.
I wish we got.
Can you guys explain this to me? Because I'm not a college football guy, and I understand what happened. I listened.
I can explain it as good as anyone because I think I'm impartial, even though we bet.
But I don't understand. So I understood the bet. I get it, and you hammered it. You didn't like FSU to make the playoffs, and I know you put a lot of money down that they wouldn't make the playoffs. But explain it to me, like, why did they not make the playoffs? They're undefeated.
So it's this simple. There's five conference champs.
Yep.
The SEC's been the best conference for the last 20 years or however long it's been. Alabama lost early in the year to Texas. They ran the table, got better every week. Saban's one of the best coaches. They pound Georgia pretty easy, who's been number 1 for 3 years. There's physically no way they're not putting that team in the playoff. So, and then you got 2 undefeateds. Michigan's undefeated in the Big Ten. Washington's undefeated in loaded Pac-10 or Pac-12, whatever it is, Pac-10, Pac-12, I forget. But they're for sure in. Like, they're stone cold locks. And then Texas is kind of the outlier to me. I would have said Texas is probably out, but the flip is they beat Bama at Bama early in the year. So you can't put Bama in without Texas. So it was kind of a package deal where you either get Bama and Texas and you have to screw Florida State, or you have to screw Bama and the SEC. And if you do that, my reasoning why I wanted the big bet was if you win a title without an SEC team in the playoff, everyone's going to say it's just not a real – it's going to be an asterisk. No one's going to take it serious if the SEC is not in. And on top of it, to make it just a slam dunk, Florida State's quarterback's out. So they don't – I mean, I know that some people are like, that shouldn't matter, blah, blah, blah. But they don't have a quarter – they're going to get smoked. They're going to get pounded. Why would you not want the 4 best teams in there? And totally, to be honest, I get why Florida State's mad. I'd be mad too if I was a Florida State fan. You went undefeated. You did everything you could do. You really won convincingly even this week with your 3rd string quarterback. I get why you're mad, but who are you going to be in over? You can't be in over any of those 4. Luckily, this is the last year of this too. And ODB sent me a tweet or a text that night. I wish I saw it quicker because in the middle of the night, they were like plus 350 or something. I missed that. Unfortunately, I got a bad line. We still got in there and got some good money from it, but I could have got an even better line if I saw his message at night.
Yeah, I'm unfortunately not in a state with FanDuel or DraftKings, so I didn't have that option. My only thing was to tell other people, and I bet some people off market just using that line. But the reality is, there is no world where the SEC champion who has 1 loss, and not only that, but their 1 loss was versus a top 5 team, and it was early in the year. If it would have been later, if it would have been a different team,
I agree with that.
Then maybe
they lost to Texas like 2 weeks ago. I would agree with.
So you guys are telling me if this was the Pac-12 that it happened to, right? Not the SEC. The SEC team wasn't the team that was in this equation.
I don't think if the Pac-10 team hadn't got
whatever,
Pac-12, whatever it's called, if they were the team with 1 loss, they wouldn't have got in. It was just the SEC.
Yeah, and it would have been Florida State. Okay.
If it would have been Oregon that beat Washington, I mean, I think we all thought that was a lock playoff spot for them. Yeah. They might have got left out.
They would have got left out, I think.
Which would have been unfortunate for them. The thing was, everybody, there was going to be an unfortunate thing. If Texas win would have come over Oregon instead of Bama, for sure. They would have been out. The only reason that they're in is because it was against exactly that one team, and they couldn't put Texas. It really should have been Texas out, honestly.
I agree with that, but you just couldn't put them in over the team they beat.
They just couldn't do that. But it should have been Texas out because the reality is that conference is a joke. That conference got rolled last year in the championship. TCU lost to the SEC team by like 69-0 or something bullshit.
That was easy money.
Texas is a team that should be out. But because it was them, because it was Bama that they beat, they had to just put them in. I mean, they had a bad loss too. I mean, they lost to Oklahoma, who stinks. Not even, couldn't even make the championship of their terrible conference. So, in reality, Texas has the worst resume, but they just couldn't do it. So that's really all it came down to.
And now this is going away because they're going.
Yeah, next year it's now everyone's in next year.
Next year,
so I don't understand what 4 to 8 was. This just like a test? Like let's test 4.
It's been 4 for a while, so now it's 12.
It was 2 for a long. First of all, if you don't follow college football, it used to be
I'm not a big college football guy. So I know it was 2, and then it went to 4.
Back like 25 years ago, they used to just vote. And then at the end of the year, it's like, oh, we think this is the best team. You think this is the best team. Oh, they get the most votes. They win the national championship. It was literally a vote.
And then it was a calculation after that.
Then it was a calculation. Then the committee chose 2 teams. And my team, the Auburn Tigers in 2002, we were undefeated, SEC champs. and we got hosed, and they put
That was
Oklahoma,
when it was 2 teams, right?
2 teams. They played Oklahoma to play USC, and Oklahoma.
That was when they had Cadillac Williams, right?
They had Cadillac, they had Ronnie Brown,
Yeah.
Jason Campbell. That team was amazing, and they went to.
That sucked when it was only 2 teams. That was even worse than 4.
I went to the Sugar Bowl, watched us roll Virginia Tech, but Oklahoma got rolled by USC. It should have been us, but whatever. I mean, shit happens, and look, they're set with a bunch of options. The whole point of me bringing this up was follow on Twitter, AU David B, because like if I really like something, I'll put it out there. I also put out early last week on Sunday to jump on the Niners at -1.5 because I knew that they were going to go up versus the Eagles and they were going to roll. They did. We give out some great bets here. We had Seattle to miss the playoffs +300 a couple weeks ago. Now they're like +300 to make the playoffs.
That was still the craziest line.
And they get San Fran this week. They
got
to play.
They got 2 more powerhouse games.
We put some good stuff out there. So look, we're not going to win all of them, but if you follow and you understand like the lingo, when I say I like something or lean towards something, then that's what it is. If I say I love it or I take a hard stand, it's probably going to be right. I mean, it's not always.
We've won a lot more than we've lost. Where we've
I don't put shit out there with my love behind it if I don't really think it's going to happen. So
what about ODB? What if you come on the show and say this is a lock button bet for the people, and then you give it and it ships easy?
Yeah,
easy
exactly.
ship. What about that?
But we all locked in those Niners. I can't take full credit because the whole crew was with me. So yeah, if you didn't make money on that game, that's your own fault.
Yeah, I mean, literally, all of us just
click the X button at the top left of your screen and get out and don't watch the show because obviously you don't have any conviction in what we're saying because we all told you the Niners were the stone cold lock last week.
Those are the spots that are as easy as it gets too. Like I know it sounds like we're being results oriented, but that spot was the dream spot.
Weren't. You literally came on the show last week on a Wednesday and said, I'm going to give the lock of the week for the people on a Wednesday. I don't, that's not being results oriented. You said it before the game, way before the game started.
The topper that I was proud of was I said Debo's going to break the slate, and he broke the slate. So we did good last week. We're allowed to stroke ourselves a little bit. And what are we called? We're called the Chiefs Haters Show. They took that salami sandwich, boys. Woo! The Chiefs.
How about Jordan Love? I mean, it's just I don't want to like jinx it though, honestly, because I touted him so hard in the offseason. But man, he's coming back a little bit.
It's been dramatic too because a few of those weeks, like early, he looked as bad as you could possibly look, and now he's turned it around. So it's impressive.
It's interesting how they let him play through his mistakes. And listen, he's still doing certain things that will make mistakes. Like he does still throw off his back foot a little bit. And if you watched in that game, he got lucky on a couple of them where he threw off his back. But I thought the biggest difference in what he's doing now, he's starting to roll out of the pocket when he's getting pressure instead of just backing up and throwing off his back foot. Whereas before, every time he'd get pressure up the middle or on the outside, he would literally just back up, and then throw off his back foot every time. Now he's starting to roll out. I don't know if you guys saw that play where they designed it, where he rolled out and the offensive lineman like came back to help him. But like they're starting to do things to help him so he doesn't make those same mistakes countlessly, which again, he did a couple times, but you can see the progression is there and some of the things he's doing, he's getting better at. If he can just set his feet, if he has time to throw, that offensive line was great. They run the football like that. He's going to be good. You know what I mean? But the problem is when you're getting pressure constantly and you don't have time to throw, you're going to make some mistakes. So I thought that was the biggest difference in the offense was the offensive line. Not only did they pass protect well, but they ran the football, which helped them better on pass protection. So, yeah, I mean, it was Jordan Love, but it's the whole team that's played a lot better. So, Packers, I'm not saying they're the top, but they're with they're in that Lions tier, you know. They're not the head with the Cowboys.
Yeah, he's getting a little excited on us.
No, I will not. I will not.
Relax.
They're in that Lions tier. They're in that Lions tier. I'm telling you.
Hold it up.
Where would you put them? Where would you guys put them like right now?
In the NFC? Solid team, like 6th, 7th in the NFC.
So like the Atlanta Falcons.
No, I think they're better than the Falcons. I think they're a little bit below the top couple teams, but
after Dallas, Philly, and the Niners, that would be the next tier.
Yeah, Detroit. I mean, they're not as good as Detroit either, and
I think the Lions are in a tier by themselves.
You think they're by themselves, and then the Packers are the next.
I'll put the Packers and the Rams and the Seahawks and the Vikings.
I think them and the Rams is a really good comparison because the Rams are solid too. I said that last week. Versus the Rams are like a solid team that gives people problems.
Yeah, they're right now. If there was just a tournament with the also Rams in the NFC, I'd make the Packers like a small favorite to come out of it, but
even the Vikings, like I think the Vikings are very similar to the Packers too.
Yeah, exactly. Let's not go crazy. It's a couple weeks, but
I think all of them are better than our Seattle team, though. I think Seattle's worse than all those teams.
I pick all those teams you just said over Seattle. I think too. So
it doesn't matter anyways because the three big dogs are winning the NFC anyway. So
the problem is that
I'm eliminating Philadelphia. I'm coming on here this week officially eliminating Philadelphia from the NFC contention.
Well, you can't do that though because if
I'm doing it right now. I'm doing it. They're officially eliminated from my contenders.
Are you just trying to get under K. Reed's skin?
K. Reed gave me that tasty hundy in my PayPal, baby. Woo!
Did you go pay for lunch? Lunch crew? Did you pay for the lunch?
Didn't, but I should. You're paying tomorrow, K. Reed, for my lunch wherever I go.
Oh. All right. Let's get into this slate here. We got a nice little main slate to talk about. We'll leave the grossest showdown game we've had in a while.
We're not going to get too sidetracked. Who are we picking in the AFC? ODB, who are you picking?
Man.
Because I think it's really hard.
I don't like any of these teams, to be honest.
Can I go first, ODB?
Sure.
So right now, I'm going the Bills.
Well, that's who I was going to say, but I didn't want to spoil who we like in the because they got to beat this Chiefs team. If they beat this Chiefs team, I like the Bills. So it's 100% dependent.
I'll eliminate teams for you though, real quick. You can't go. You can't go the Browns. You can't go the Steelers. I don't think you can even go Jacksonville. Honestly,
no, you can't go Jacksonville.
So okay. So I can't go the Chiefs. I don't think anyone should go the Chiefs, but. They can luck their way, I'm sure. So everyone gets injured. Lamar gets injured.
Fuck, it might even been the Texans.
The Texans would have been up there with me too because I like the Texans too. But so you're talking the Ravens and the Dolphins are the only two teams I haven't eliminated that right now. If the playoffs started today, would be.
I'd probably go Dolphins. Honestly,
who would you go in that scenario, Tony? If you could only pick those two teams,
only two teams I can even consider in the AFC are Miami and Buffalo. If Buffalo, because Buffalo's the best bet. We've been talking about it for a month. They're like 50-1 still to win the. I just love that bet. The problem for Buffalo is they got to get in. They're not in very good shape, and their schedule is brutal.
Them losing that Broncos game, that could come down to a tiebreaker too, and that would just be they lost that game. So
there's a lot of teams they got. I mean, they're going to have to run the table like beating good teams. But the flip side, and this is why I brought this up before you go into the week, because how many times have we seen this in the NFL where a team does run the table and beat a bunch of good teams, and then all of a sudden they're in the playoffs and you got that 50-1 ticket, and it's like, holy shit, how'd you get the Bills 50-1?
Yeah.
You're not going to get that value once they get in. Once they get in, they're going to be one of the favorites. So you got to bet them now.
If they win this week, you're not getting that value. If they go,
the problem is if they lose, you're done.
You're done. Yeah.
If you and we'll talk about that game later, but if you like the Bills, sprinkle a little bit of that money that you bet on the Bills this week on win the Super Bowl or win
Tony,
the AFC. Win the AFC, not Super Bowl. I think
the only thing is
they're going to be a dog. There'd be a dog in the Super Bowl versus the
Niners,
though.
You can still get it and hedge something if it gets there. So.
Yeah, but you might as well. Like you normally with the Super Bowl and AFC odds, it's normally like 2-1, and and they're going to be more than you could hedge off. You might as well just do super.
The price is like egregious though. Like you're getting, where's it at?
Well, I mean, if it's
what about
50 to
what are
1,
the
it's probably
Texans
like
odds
23
right
to
now,
1 or
Tony?
something.
What are the Texans odds?
I don't know.
They're probably like 80 to 1 to win it or something. Last week I looked, they were on one site, they were 90 to 1. They were 90 to 1 on Circa and 60 to 1 on DraftKings or something.
Somehow Houston's only 35 to 1 right now to win the Super Bowl, not even the AFC.
Oh, really? I don't like
Buffalo's 50 to 1 to win.
Yeah.
I mean that's got to be the best bet. I'm
the
like,
Bills. Yeah.
so just in the AFC, the Buffalo's only 22 to 1 in the AFC. That's still just an incredible bet.
I think 22 to 1 because I think they'll be a significant dog to the Niners.
I mean, they're not going to be more than like 4.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I don't think any.
And I guess you could get lucky, and the Cowboys could get there, and they would probably beat the Cowboys.
I'll be talking about my Cowboys.
Wait a second. No, they're not your Cowboys anymore. You are on the Niners. We are.
I think the Niners are the best team for sure, but I still like the Cowboys. I like the Cowboys way more than the Eagles.
But we're on the Niners to win. Let's put that on record right now. We think.
Yeah, I mean if the Niners stay healthy, they're not losing. I'll put that on the record. If they get an injury, then it opens things up, though.
Well, that's why I said you shouldn't be throwing the Eagles out because what if Dak and Brock Purdy get injured?
I don't think Philly can even. I'm done. I think Philly's done. Their defense is really bad, so I think they're done. I'm burying them. Today's the day I bury Philadelphia. They're done for me.
That's right, Green Bay. Let's go, Packers. Come on, baby.
If Green Bay in all seriousness, if Green Bay went into Philly in the playoffs, I think Green Bay could beat them because they got receivers.
That last game too, they didn't even have Jair Alexander in that game. They still their defense looked good. I mean, I think maybe I'm jumping ahead, but
Miami's
I think the guys are still a little
Buffalo
low.
doesn't get in though. Miami's. I mean, that's my pick for sure. Buffalo. One of those two teams is who I'm picking.
So you're not going to pick your Bengals. You're not going to pick the Broncos.
My Bengals did impress me Monday night, though. I'll be honest. That guy looked good. He won Player of the Week, too.
He should have won Player of the Week. Like, those stories you should. Honestly, Joe Flacco should have won Player of the Week.
Joe Flacco looked good.
That was one of the most ridiculous things I've seen all year. Joe Flacco literally came in an NFL football game in 2023 and looked good. And gave that team a chance. I mean, come on, Tony. Like that was unbelievable. If Browning didn't do what he did, I would have gave it to Joe Flacco, honestly. And I know his stats weren't great, but he did way better than I thought. So, all right, let's talk about.
Let's get on the slate.
Yeah, we'll leave New England and Pittsburgh for tomorrow. Showdown. If you guys like Showdown, we'll be on.
Good God, those Eastern. 2 teams play tomorrow. Oh my God.
Sorry, I didn't.
Woo,
I just wanted to bring up the show. We'll be on at 3 p.m. Eastern to talk about that Showdown slate. So stay tuned for that.
What's the total in that? 25?
30. You were close.
How are they going to get to 30?
Wait, that has to be the lowest total.
How are they going to get to 30? New England has lost 3 straight, and they haven't given up 10 points in any of the games.
What's Pittsburgh D going to be owned in Showdown?
What's both these going to be? Even the Patriots D has been like decent.
Don't even start talking. Move us on. I don't even want to think about
All right, we got a good game here to start. We got Detroit Lions versus the Chicago Bears in Chicago. This game is 3-point spread. Lions are favored in Chicago. We got a 44 total in this game here. Justin Fields, Jared Goff. You guys remember they played a few weeks ago, and the Bears had this game wrapped up in the fourth quarter. They had it. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care. They were up 2 scores. They had the ball. They were driving. They didn't go for it on 4th and like 1 or 2 or something like that, which I thought was idiotic because if they got that first down, they could have just killed the clock and the game would have been over. Instead, they kicked a field goal. They still are up 2 scores, so it didn't really fucking matter for them to kick that field goal. And then Detroit comes, scores, gets the ball, stops them, and then scores again, and the game's over. Detroit wins. The Bears should have won the game. Now they get the rematch at home. Bears have been playing good. The defense is playing good. The offense hasn't looked that great, though. I won't lie. I don't like that Justin Fields isn't throwing the ball down the field. That Minnesota game was disgusting. If you're an offensive play caller for Chicago, you should have been fired right there on the spot. They threw the ball at the line of scrimmage constantly instead of throwing the ball downfield. I think they only had like literally 3 passes where they threw the ball past 10 yards. That's how insane it was. So hopefully they throw the ball a little further this game. ODB, I kind of like the Bears, but the Lions have been struggling. So it kind of, makes me lean that way. What say you?
I say I like the Bears game plan. I had DJ Moore all over the place in that game, and I loved it. So it was perfect. I don't really have a strong take on the side here. I do like this game. If the weather is fine, I like this environment for scoring. I think DJ Moore is just, I mean, he has his place as like he's the new Keenan Allen almost. Where he just gets all those short targets, and occasionally he might turn one into a touchdown. But even if he doesn't, like, his floor is really good. Fields' floor is good. The Lions' defense hasn't been very good. I really like the Chicago side, and those two guys. It's so condensed. It's great. Mon-Ra had a kind of bad game. He kind of I really would have had a legitimate chance to do something good in that 4-4-4-4 if Mon-Ra would have gone off. I had a couple different lineups I played and decided that, I obviously had the Niners stack in there, and I didn't think that I thought with the comebacks being expensive for Philly and Tyreek having such ownership, I just decided to go off the board and take a Mon-Ra Olave game stack. And if a Mon-Ra would have had a game, I could have contended, but people might not be on a Mon-Ra now because he's, kind of had a couple of mediocre weeks. So I think he's going to be fine. Gibbs has kind of lost some of the touches. They've kind of reverted back to that early season role for him. So I don't know if that makes like him a good play because people might not play him, or it might make Montgomery good. But I think Detroit's going to score, and I think the Bears are going to score. And I really like this. I really like this game environment. So I'm going to be looking to put some pieces for DFS. As far as the game itself, I don't really have a strong take because I kind of like what both these teams are. I don't really like how Detroit's playing, but I like their team in total, and I kind of like what the Bears have been doing lately. So no strong take on the game, but strong take on the environment if the weather's good. I haven't looked at the weather this week. So.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some wind in this game. I don't know if it's going to be that big of an issue.
The wind doesn't really matter for DJ Moore and Mon-Ra because their ADOTs are pretty small. So actually, that kind of, even if it's wind, the only thing I don't like is if it's sloppy. But if it's wind, that's actually even better for them because their ADOTs are so short.
All right, yeah, Tony, what do you got here with the Bears and the Lions?
Man, this is our best ball the last 4 weeks. We need the Bears more than anybody. So I'm trying not to let that cloud my judgment with DFS because I know I want them to crush, but also, man, I just don't feel good about this spot. I usually do agree with ODB too. We don't disagree much about stuff. The Bears D's looked really good to me lately. You're outdoor. I was hoping, even when I talked to JSU yesterday, I even said, is this game in Detroit? I was hoping it was in Detroit, and it's freaking in Chicago. And I'm just worried about the weather. This time of year in Chicago, Bears D's good. The Detroit D's look bad recently, though. So, man, I don't love this spot. I wish I did. I really want to talk myself into it, but I just don't feel great. Outside of like playing Fields and DJ Moore, I like DJ Moore a lot. I like Cole Kmet a lot too. I don't like the Detroit side at all. I think the Bears D has been good. I just do not like Goff outdoors this time of year. Goff's looked bad to me. I feel really bad about Detroit in this game. So I think I like the under. It's 44. I like the under. I just don't feel good. I hate even talking about this game because I don't want to bring bad mojo to the 50K team.
If I'll tell you right now, if Detroit can't run the football against the Bears, then they're going to struggle in this game. They need to be able to run the football, and the Bears have been good at stopping the run recently. They've been actually really good just in general. And Sweats looked really good, the kid they traded for. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting spot. I hope it goes over, But
No,
like Tony
believe me, I
said,
hope so too. That's why I don't even want to talk about it. Like, I don't even want to talk about this game. I just want them to score a bunch of points for us.
like Tony said, though, it does feel like an under spot. I really don't want it to. I'm not going to bet it, but
I'm not going to
it's
bet it
probably
either,
me.
just because I don't want to. I just don't want that conflict.
It's bad
but
mojo. It's bad mojo. I agree.
I don't feel good
All right.
about it. I'll say that.
All right, let's move on. We got the Rams. We got the Ravens here. 7-point spread. Baltimore is favored at home, and it's a 40-point total in this game here. So another, total 40. I mean, lowish, but Rams. I mean, looking pretty good here, guys. Tony, I'll throw it to you here first. You were talking them up a little bit, saying they'd be in that close to that second tier in the NFC. I mean, what do you like from the Rams, and can they give the Ravens some trouble?
Yeah, I like the Rams in this spot. I just think their offense is good with Kyron in there. He's really good at running back. You got two really good receivers. Stafford, when you can keep him upright, is also solid enough of a quarterback. Not talking fantasy when I'm talking about this. I don't like him fantasy-wise. But as far as real-life quarterback, I think he's good. I like the Rams. I think the Rams could win this game outright. I just don't love Baltimore. Even the games they've won that I've watched, I feel like their offense is very limited. I just don't love what I see from them. Mark Andrews is a massive part of their offense. Him not in there, I just don't like it. They really only have one weapon, although I love Keaton Mitchell. One of these weeks he's going to freaking nuke, and he's 4,900, so I'm going to keep playing him, honestly. I wanted to pull up the snap counts. I don't know if you have them up. Let me see.
I got them up, Tony. You want them?
Did he get a boost or anything last week?
You're talking about Keaton Mitchell, right?
Yeah, because he's going to nuke soon.
Last week he got 46% of the snaps, and just so you have an idea, in week 11, just comparing
he had to have gone up every week. What's the last?
It was 36. So
what's the last 4 weeks though? Did it go up every week?
Let's see here. In week 10, he had, it went up. Let's see. It went to, he was 24. So, it went 24. It's
going up like 10 every week.
Yep. Let's see. 9. I'll
anybody that watches Baltimore, I don't know how you keep this guy off the field. He's electric out there.
18 in week 9, 24 in week 10.
So it's going up each week. And he
46.
looks absolutely electric. In that last game, versus the Chargers, or I think it was versus the Chargers. He was just absolutely electric. And they didn't have a bye, right? Week 8 bye was their bye.
They
did just have a bye.
Yeah, 13.
Oh yeah, this is the Keaton Mitchell spot. Then you got off a bye. He's 4,900. He looks electric. His projection isn't high, so he's not going to get ownership. This is the Keaton Mitchell spot. I love Keaton Mitchell here. His snaps are going up every week. This is the Keaton Mitchell spot. But besides that, I don't love. I mean, Kyron, when he's getting every down. So what was his? Let me just pull it up so I don't have to keep asking you. So Kyron played 94% of the snaps last week.
He's always on there.
I like Kyron, and I like Keaton, and I like the Rams. That's where I'm at in this game.
I will say, too, this is another game. This game looks like it could be really ugly. Looks like there could be a lot of rain.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to have bad weather outdoors this week.
It could be cold, and there could be wind. You know what I mean? So you could get all three of that, where you get the rain.
And the total's only cold. 40. So, I mean, you're going to have to be careful of all the outdoor spots the rest of the year, just because you get bad weather. It's just not as good as indoors, obviously. I mean, I'm not breaking ground by saying that, but it just is you got to pay attention. But the good news is I think that also helps Kyron and Keaton, because Keaton's going to catch screens. He's going to be involved in the pass game, gimmicky plays. And when he hits straight to the house. So I like both those guys.
Yeah. The only guy that you didn't bring up that I think I could also look at is Zay Flowers. I think it fits him well too, because, he all he needs is that that short screenplay to the house or the end around. You saw it at the end of the game last time out a couple weeks ago. So he's another guy I just would throw in there. But running backs, I'd be fine with just going with the running backs, I guess, in this type of game. ODB
4,900 making my balls move a little bit. I'm excited here.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up Mitchell. I'm glad Big T got to it first. But coming off a bye, you think they're gonna find a way to use him more. It's kind of a weird spot because I always pick the NFC team in this spot. I picked the Lions versus the Ravens, same shit. I picked the Seahawks versus the Ravens, same shit. And the Ravens just dump trucked them. So I'm a little concerned. I mean, I do like the Rams. I've been on the Rams the last several weeks. One of my don't get stubborn things. I was not on the Rams early, but I see a lot in this team. They have a lot of good skill position players. They've got a good coach that believes in them. And, in this NFL with so many injuries right now, you've got, two really good receivers. You've got a really good running back, and you've got a smart quarterback that's upright and a good coach. There's not a whole lot of teams that have that trifecta of a good coach, a good running back, a good quarterback upright, good weapons. I mean, when I trifecta, I meant quarterback, coach, skill position players. But so, yeah, I like this Rams team, and I think it's too many points. I'm not really a firm believer in Baltimore, but I've got wrecked in this spot, doubting Baltimore at home versus an NFC team before. The Rams played a game last week, Baltimore off a bye. I mean, it's a spot league, and this is like as bad a spot as you can hope for the Rams. So I'm hesitant to be all in on the Rams, but it's just a spot where I'm normally going to like the Rams, but I feel like it's just as bad a spot as possible. So I'm probably going to lay off of it. Also, like the Rams, if you're going to get to the Rams, you just got to get pressure on Stafford. Like that's the main thing. And I think the Ravens can probably create some pressure up front. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a strong feel yet. I know I want to like the Rams, but I know that this spot's just so bad that it's going to probably keep me off of loving it.
I just think there's not going to be as many points scored in this game. So I think that's another reason why, like, I'm just going to lean the Rams side with the points. I just don't think there's going to be a lot of scoring going on in this game. So, I'll take the points with the Ravens. We got Al Money in the chat saying, save y'all money. Rams going across country, play at 1 p.m. game, LOL. So Al Money wants us to save our money, Tony. Save your money.
One trend that I've literally never paid attention to, the cross the country thing. I'd love to see the overall numbers. Like I almost guarantee you long term it's not as drastic as people think.
It's not. I mean, you think that the lines makers don't bake that in?
I mean, I just never ever pay. I shouldn't say never because sometimes it sticks out, but I hardly ever use that stuff. And it's not like they're flying coach across the country. Like they're traveling in the nicest stuff, drinking, playing cards on the plane. Like they're
trust me, they're living good. They're living good. Those guys, they're fine.
I mean, I'm not saying like the Rams is like some like stone cold lock play or something like either. So it could be right. Baltimore could pound them for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if one team was it would definitely be Baltimore. If we were like, who's going to get their asses pounded? But like, I mean, it's just, I think the points are enough to go that way. So Houston and New York here, the next game on this slate. We got the Jets and the Texans, 4.5 point spread. Texans are favored in New York, and it is a 33 total. My God, 33. That's crazy. All right, 33 total. Zach Wilson reportedly is going to start, I guess, all of a sudden. So out goes Tim Boyle. They bring in Trevor Siemian. Zach Wilson's going to start. Do you guys believe he, didn't want to start or any of that bullshit they were saying?
I believe
I mean, I think this is – if this is just a fucking complete indictment on the Jets on the Jets coaching staff. I mean, what is Robert Saleh doing? I mean, I was on another show talking about this, but if Robert Saleh had the personality of Matt Eberflus or Frank Reich or Josh McDaniels, he would have been shit canned a long time ago. Like they only didn't can him because he's like a nice guy. I mean, that's basically it. But I mean, what a fucking disaster. You've got this guy. Zach Wilson has more talent in his fucking pinky than Tim Boyle has in his entire body. I mean, yeah, Zach Wilson makes stupid fucking decisions, but whatever. You invested the number 2 pick overall. You got to live and die with that guy. But he let the media decide who his quarterback was, and they benched Zach Wilson. And like Zach wasn't playing great, but he had good plays, and like they were a threat to at least score. I mean, absolute disaster what they've done to this kid and to this team. And we can make fun of
like
Zach
5 times in 2
Who knows
years.
what kind of confidence this dude's coming in with this week?
I mean, it's just and even Vegas is telling you, or whoever. I mean, we say Vegas as line makers, but it's probably it's some nerds in fucking Costa Rica making the lines. But look, this line was 6.5 before, and now this stupid bug right here on my face. But anyway, this line was 6.5, and now it's down to 4.5. You say it's not even on the board in Pinnacle, like which is what I'm looking at.
DraftKings has it at 4.5. Yep.
So I mean, if it's 4.5, that means they're telling you that Zach Wilson's going to play, and I think rightfully so. Like this kid's worth a couple points. I mean, Tim Boyle and Trevor Siemian. I mean, those guys aren't even real quarterbacks. So I don't know. This Jets defense is good. And it really just all depends on did they bench Zach Wilson because the team absolutely hates him, or did they bench Zach Wilson because Saleh just listened to the crowd and page 2 on the New York Times? I mean, that really all it comes down to.
I would assume there was some pressure. I think he felt the pressure in New York and benched him.
I mean, if this team's like, okay, fine, now we got a real quarterback in here, we're going to try, then the Jets can cover this number. This is a really tough spot for CJ without one of his top weapons going across the country. He hasn't ever played in New York. Outside, this is probably his first cold weather game in the NFL versus a tough defense, a tough passing defense, a good scheme. Like I would like the Jets here, but if this team's like we're done, we're over this season, then yeah, I mean, then Texans should roll. So I'm leaning Jets personally, but I've also bet the Jets the last several weeks, thinking the defense could carry them, and they give up 13 points and still don't cover.
Yeah, I mean, listen, CJ Stroud, he's been good last couple weeks, but I will say in the second half of some of these games, he's faded completely in some of these games. So I don't want to act like he's been like unbelievable all game, but man, in some of these first halves, he's been really friggin' good and then slowly started fading in the second. So I don't know if that's like a game plan thing or teams see things and they come out in the second half and like have a better game plan. But I've noticed it multiple weeks in a row now where in the first half he plays better than in the second half, which is kind of interesting. But Tony, what do you think here? Do you think the Jets can cover this 4.5?
I mean, I just don't know how they're going to score. Like, I mean, Zach Wilson sucks, but they've botched the situation 1,000,000% because what are you gaining by benching him? You already know Siemian sucks. You know Boyle sucks. Like, what are you benching him for? So I agree with ODB. Like, even if Zach Wilson goes down in flames, just let him play the whole year and see what you got, and then just dump him after the year. Like, you're not doing anything by benching him every 2 games, but I mean, they just lost at home to the Falcons 13-8. The Dolphins pounded them on that. The Bills pounded them. I know those are good teams. That Raiders game before that was one of the worst games I've ever watched in my life. I can't take the Jets. I don't like Houston much either, though. It's one of those games that, I mean, the Texans, when you actually break down their schedule and who they've played, I think in my head, they feel better than they actually are. I think, especially now with Tank Dell out. And we've been on the Texans, don't get me wrong, but when you actually just look, there's not really that many games that stick out as impressive. So, and now they don't have Tank Dell. I mean, this game's just a stay away from me. I mean, it's a 33 total. I think it ends up like the Atlanta game, 13-8 or something, where nobody really does anything. Maybe they cover, maybe they don't. I can't take the Jets, though. If I had to pick, I would pick Houston. But, I mean, this game's ugly. I don't have a strong take.
Do we think after all this, it's almost like the pressure's off Zach Wilson? Because, like, he had his chance to be the guy, and then, like, they took him out, and then they're bringing him back in almost to say, like, we don't have anyone else, dude. Like,
It's
like,
a
you got to
disaster
come
for sure.
back. Like
This is
I don't think it matters though.
This is one of those movies where the quarterback goes in and the coach calls the handoff off the right side, and the quarterback says, "Fuck this guy. We're gonna go and we're gonna beat him, and we're gonna do it our way." And he throws the ball downfield to Garrett Wilson, and he makes the ridiculous catch, and they score the touchdown and win the game, and the coach gets fired.
I mean, it could be. The coach should be fired. So that's the one thing you said of that whole thing that I think should happen, or will happen, which is
I got COVID brain, so forgive me for some of my stupid takes today.
No, you're fine. All right. I don't know how you can take the Jets. I just can't do it either. So I'm going to go the other way.
The only way you could make a case is just saying Houston's not as good as we think. And Stroud, like ODB said, Stroud's on the road, outdoors.
I mean, the reality is we're starved for stories this year. Like there's all the quarterbacks are getting hurt. We just want somebody to like capture our imagination. And that's kind of what
we want someone to like capture the MVP. Like, honestly, none of these quarterbacks should win the MVP. I don't care what anyone says. Not one of them.
Yeah, I mean, the MVP is Tyreek
or Christian McCaffrey.
What about Mr. Dak Prescott?
Well, honestly, he would be third right now in my conversation because honestly, I think
Tyreek's the most valuable player. They're the number one seed, and without Tyreek,
the most valuable players.
Yeah, Tyreek's
like how is Christian McCaffrey not the most valuable player to San Francisco?
I think San Francisco wins more without Christian than the Dolphins do without Tyreek. Tyreek's
maybe that's a good point actually. Either way, I think both of them should be ahead. It's just that it's an MVP as a quarterback trophy, but it shouldn't be, honestly, because none of these quarterbacks.
I think it should be Dak.
But you don't like Dallas. You like the Niners.
Yeah, but I think I'm under the assumption it has to be a quarterback, but that's just me.
Yeah. Well,
if you take McCaffrey off, the Niners are still a really good team. If you take Tyreek off, the Dolphins are still a pretty good team. I do agree. Tyreek is definitely more important than McCaffrey is, though, to me. And I love McCaffrey. I love the Niners. It's just they would still boat race teams without McCaffrey.
Yeah, that's fair. I think if you take Tyreek off, then they're definitely.
You don't think the Niners would still be really good without McCaffrey?
Yeah, I just don't think Tyreek. I don't think the Dolphins would be really good without Tyreek.
I agree with you guys. Tyreek definitely.
They're the Chiefs.
Tyreek could, if it was a non-quarterback, I would give it to Tyreek for sure.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Okay, I just wanted to throw that out there because right now Brock Purdy's the one.
Like he's the one I don't think you can give it to, and I like Purdy, but man, they're loaded, and he's got the best coach, the best scheme, like the best defense. Like
he's got the best everything. He's got the best left tackle. He's got the best.
He's been good. I mean, he's like the Brady example to me forever. Like he's in a perfect system, but he still does what he needs to do in the system. But that doesn't make him an MVP to me.
Is that crazy though? Think about this. He might have a top 5 player at almost each
literally everywhere.
Position. Like even put defense into account. Dre Greenlaw, linebacker. They've got so many good players that like you sit back and you're like, how does this team not win? But all right, let's go to the Colts and the most surprising team from this past week. My Cincinnati Bengals here. And I'm saying my Cincinnati Bengals because I was the only one who had faith in my Bengals. I pulled the hat back out here. TJ Houshmandzadeh signed this fucking hat.
He's going to sue you. I heard he's suing someone for his name or something. He's going to sue you. Are you the guy he's suing?
Why? Did I say his name wrong?
So I don't know the whole story. It was just a joke. So he's suing somebody, though, for his name or something.
Oh, fuck. All right. I'm not saying his name again. Either way, this hat was signed by many Bengals, and they said, Tony, Matthew Wiley, and all you other Bengals fans, you may give it up on us, but we have not given up on ourselves, damn it. Jamar Chase is going to pull his fucking log out, third leg's coming out, and he's putting the hammer down on you fucking Bengals fools who gave up on them and did not have any respect to show them from last week. And they put it on and they won the game. Tony, I got to come to you first because, it's got to feel tough to, just you picked against them. You didn't ride with your team. You didn't ride with Jamar. And he showed you what's up.
I know. I got to take an L for sure. And a couple of weeks ago, what makes the L even harder? I think 2 weeks ago on this show or one of the shows, I'm like, Jake Browning looks better than people think. I think you can kind of say he's a decent quarterback, and then I just totally turned on him one weekend, and I thought Jacksonville would pound him. I'll be honest. I thought Cincinnati would pack it in. They impressed me, and it's going to hurt me because I'm going to keep going against them. I think Cincinnati's defense is. I said this on the Monday show, and it was the correct part of it. They just couldn't stop no one. I think their defense is so bad right now, and I think so. Is JT, is he out for a while? Is it Zach?
He's
Moss?
out. He's out.
Yeah.
He's at least out for the next couple weeks, or like the next week or two.
So last week, Zach Moss was 46 or whatever he was. It was a lock. He only got 7. He was 85% in the 4K. He's 5,900 this week, and he's every bit of as good of a play as last week. He's a little bit more expensive, but he's just a stone cold lock to me, Zach Moss. Like stone cold lock. He's going to get the flop lag. Everyone played him. Hopefully people get off of him. I don't think they will, just because the projection is still so high. And he still play. I mean, did he play every snap? Let me pull it up. He played 94% of snaps. What I say last week, Debo's a stone cold lock. It was a little lower owned. This week, Zach Moss, stone cold freaking lock. You got to play Zach Moss at 5,900. I think Indy wins this game pretty easy. Gardner Minshew looked awful last week. I bet Indy, so I was rooting on him hard. God, he killed me in that game. But Pittman's good. Downs is good. Moss gets all the work. Alec Pierce even looked pretty good last week. I think Indy wins this game pretty easy, actually. I like Indy a lot, and I think Zach Moss is a stone-cold lock in fantasy.
Yeah, Tony, what'd you think of the young kid for the Bengals, the running back? What's his name?
Chase Brown. I talked about it on the Monday show with you guys. I think he's solid. I think by the end of the year, since he's officially eliminated, I think he'll be a great play the last couple of weeks. But you still can't. They're still going to give Mixon all the work. I'm not ready.
He's the week 17, 18 play for the Bengals.
I mean, he still only played. It felt like he played more than he did. He only played 15%. They still want to give Mixon all this stupid work. I like him.
Why? Because he touched the ball almost every time he was out there, it felt like. That's why, I think.
It's just too early for him, but I do like him later. Bookmark him. And Tanner Hudson's still 2,800. I like him every week. I mean, he keeps doing good.
The issue with him is he just hasn't gotten
in the box. He won't get in the box. He's going to score one of these weeks.
I mean, damn
they lowered his price again, though. Like he's down to 2,800 again.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's too cheap. 2,800.
7 or 8. Even if he gets the 7 or 8 he's been getting for 2,800, that's fine. Whenever he scores, he's going to freaking crush.
And they're going to have to throw. That Browning showed them confidence that he can throw, which is a good thing for him, obviously. Yeah. Indy's a team that you can throw on, by the way, too. You know what I mean? So it's not like they can definitely do it. And he likes the tight end spot. I mean, that's clear. So, yeah, 2,800. I might have to get some Browning. I got to bookmark him as someone I like. But ODB, who you got in this game? You got the Colts or the Bengals?
Well, let's talk about both these teams. And last week, the Colts last week, I had the Titans. That one hurt. 2 block punts. The most fortunate win of the week for sure.
I felt so lucky about it. I got the winning side.
I think I feel like I've been pretty good with the Colts this year. I mean, despite the fact that I was off on them preseason, I said they were going to stink. I've managed to be on them in a lot of these weeks leading up to. But the Bengals last week, I think I came to a realization. I don't know. I just can't. Something came over me, and I ended up playing the Bengals last week. The reality is, there's 3 important things. There's the coach, there's the quarterback, and there's the skill position players. And the Bengals still have 2 of the 3. I'm not saying the coach is great, but he's fine. In this NFL where there's a lot of bad coaches, he's fine. They have the skill position players. And I mean, I've been president or at least on the board of the Joe Burrow fan club since day one. But basically, if Joe Burrow would have been in this game, I think the Bengals probably would have been 2.5-point favorites in Jacksonville. So you're telling me that Burrow's worth 13 points on the line? That's just not accurate. Nobody's worth 13 points. So the Bengals just kind of felt like the right play there. I think the Bengals still have the skill position players. I don't totally trust this Colts team on the road. At home, they're fine. But Gardner Minshew on the road is a different story. I think the Bengals fans are going to be out. They saw something out of their quarterback, and look, this is this kid's shot. He looked really good, and also another thing, it really showed a lot of confidence that the coaching staff has in Browning. They went for it on 4th down from midfield. It was like 4th and 5 on the first drive. I thought it was a bad decision, honestly. I thought they should have punted. It was too early in the game to put this kid out there on a 4th and 5. They didn't get it. Jacksonville went down and scored. But that did show me that the coaching staff believes in him. And they came out with a game plan to throw the football, get the ball in the skill position players' hands, and he did, and he succeeded. And I thought he looked really good. I didn't look like a mirage. I'm not saying he's going to be, the next great thing, but he looked like a competent quarterback in this league full of incompetent quarterbacks. So we got Chase, and also we got really lucky on the DFS slate that this was a Monday night game, and the pricing comes out before the Monday night game. So they dropped Chase. Chase is the 6th most expensive quarterback. Is 6th most expensive receiver. He's going against the Indianapolis Colts at home. You got Nico Collins on the road versus Sauce Gardner. Is the same price. That's just obscene. Chase and Hudson and even Higgins, he's another week back from injury. He's priced down at 5,900. I think you can make a very realistic case that the Bengals stack could really open up some other big plays. It's cheap enough and it has enough chance to go off. I kind of like a lot of what this Bengals has. And so I think I really like the Bengals this week versus the Colts. And I like a lot of their players at the prices that DraftKings has set.
All right. Like that. Yeah. Some of these guys' price tags are cheap. I thought the main adjustment they made when watching the game was they gave this kid more protection. The week before, they couldn't protect him, and he was having issues. And they kind of fixed some of that, and they left in a 6th blocker almost, whether it be the tight end or, the extra running back or whatever. But they definitely gave him more protection. I thought that clearly helped, and it gave the receivers where you got T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and Jamar Chase. They're good enough skill-wise to win matchups, and that's what they did. You know what I mean? That's what they did. So I thought it was a good adjustment by the coach to say, this kid's not Joe Burrow. We can't just leave him out there. Joe Burrow could make things happen a little bit. I know he's not thought of as a running quarterback because he's not really, but he can make things happen with his feet, move around in the pocket, challenge people a little bit to get that first down that way. The threat of that. This kid doesn't really have that. So it's okay, we can't leave this kid out to dry. He's just going to get killed. We got to make sure we give them help so he can have chances to put the ball down the field. And that's what they did. And the receivers won their matchups. And that was one of the main reasons why they won. You know what I mean? So it was a good game plan by the Bengals. And I think this is a good game. I think it's a good game to target some fantasy guys from.
I got a couple more things just because a couple more things here. First of all, most importantly, Donato's Bill, stick to the pizza lane. You make pizzas, we give plays. Don't worry about Forex. You're in the pizza lane, the chicken lane. Worry about that shit. We worry about the plays.
I like chicken.
Second of all, for as far as this game, Indy, one of the most clear teams in the league for my flowchart data that I've worked hard on. You beat Indy through the ground, and that is not how Cincy wants to do it with Mixon. So I just thought I'd throw that out. I like the Colts even more, actually, after looking at the flowchart and listening to you guys. Everybody saw how good they looked on Monday night. This, to me, is a 5-star lock on the Colts. I think the Colts win easy against my Bengals. So maybe they'll own me twice in a row. As far as pure matchups, I think they match up really, really good with the Bengals.
Why don't you just play Mixon and swallow your pride?
I am not fucking playing Mixon. I will.
I'll tell you right now, Tony, I know what you're saying. I get it. The running backs are in good spots normally against the Colts, but you can beat this Colts team through the air. Mike Evans dropped the hammer on this team. Rashid Shaheed had 153 and a touchdown on 3 catches against this Colts team.
I'm just saying, that you just named the 2 times the whole year that they've been beat. So everyone can be beat once or twice. I'm just saying 100%. In general, most of their receiver weeks are literally like high 20s out of 32.
But listen to some of this, though, real quick. So they've played the Titans, the Bucks, the Patriots, the Panthers, the Saints, the Browns.
A lot of bad receivers.
A lot of bad receivers.
A lot of bad quarterbacks.
And you guys bring up a good point. So this is the weakness of the flow chart, too, and I'm glad you brought this up. So the flow chart only shows what they've done. Like, it doesn't show who they've played. If you play Dallas and Philly and these teams, it's going to look worse, of course. Mm-hmm. So that is a good point. It's a good counterpoint for sure. And the prices, like you guys said, weren't accounting for Monday night. So I'm in the middle.
I guarantee you, my point is, I guarantee you, if Joe Burrow was quarterbacking this team, you'd be all over the passing game.
With the way I played the last month, I've been relying on my data and it's worked. So I'm just saying, yeah, of course I would like them more if they were in there. Absolutely. But I don't disagree with what you guys are saying. I'm just saying I don't love it as much as others will.
Way to step out on a limb, JSU. That Big T would like it more if Joe Burrow was quarterbacking instead of Jake Browning.
No, he said he didn't, though. He still said, I lean into my data. He still said he'd lean into his data.
If it's clear, like last week, for example, Detroit was, everyone loved Amon-Ra and these Detroit.
I was trying to get him away from his data.
Weren't going to get him through the air. I don't know. I just trust my numbers because I worked hard on it. It's like my differential thing, and I don't know. It is what it is.
That's fair enough.
Obviously, though, you have to account for who. Plus, you have to account for like injuries and things. Like, whatever, they stopped Amon-Ra, but the Saints data was more skewed towards having Lattimore on the team. When you don't have Lattimore, like the numbers are going to look different.
100%.
Regardless,
the flow chart's not perfect. I'm not saying it's perfect. It just points you. And obviously, like the schedule for the Colts was weak, as you name those teams. So is what it is. It's just another data point.
That's the next step in the evolution of the flow.
There's no way you can fully. I'm not smart enough to fully account for it all. All I can do is just go game by game.
All right. Well, hey, you never know. You get a little off season tinkering with it. You never know what you can do. So, all right. Next game here on the docket, we got Carolina and we got New Orleans. 5-point spread. Saints are favored in New Orleans, and 37.5 total. So another lowish total. Got 2 bad teams. One team took a quarterback hit here. I'm talking about Derek Carr. He got a rib injury, and I think he's also in the concussion protocol too. So I would put him highly doubtful, I would say. But I don't know. We've seen guys, Chris Olave, I thought was not going to play all week, and then made it through the concussion protocol and got to play. So, yeah, I mean, who knows what happens with him? I would be shocked if he played. That hit he took looked really bad. So does that mean we get Jameis Winston at quarterback? I would assume so. And maybe some Taysom, Tony. Is it Taysom destruction week against this Carolina team who has not been good either?
Taysom's just so freaking good. Like 15 points again last week. 13 carries, 59 yards. Again, they got a lead. Right? They were pounding them, right? Earlier was it opposite? Am I thinking opposite?
It was opposite, Tony. They were getting pounded.
Detroit was up and he still did this?
21 to something.
And then New Orleans battled back and came up a little short. Is that what it was?
Yep.
I just like Taysom, but the problem is, like LDB said last week on the show, his price just makes it so freaking hard to play him, but man, he just continues to do good all year. And for our 50K team, we're going to need him down the stretch. So I hope he gets it going. But as far as just this game, I think Carolina is one of the worst teams in football. I think New Orleans sucks a little bit, but I kind of like Jameis in there better than Carr. I don't know. This is not a fantasy game I'll like for any reason. Oh, we lose ODB. This is not a fantasy game I would like at all, but I guess I would like New Orleans. I hate games with two shitty teams. I hate both of these teams. I mean, I don't see anything I like in this game whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't see a ton that I like either, Tony. I will just say, honestly, Taysom's the only one that kind of intrigues me. Just because maybe we get a little more quarterback from Taysom. They get a week to prepare. You know what I mean? Both the game starts out 0-0. I know what you said about like we want him down, but like
No,
man,
I want him up. I said it backwards. I want him up.
Sorry, you want him up. But man, like he could get 2 rushing touchdowns in this game. Like easily could see him getting 2 rushing touchdowns. So I think he'd be my main play in this game. I would assume Kamara is going to be popular too on this.
Carolina's definitely been bad against the run. Kamara gets the dumb. The only week I've played Kamara is the week with really good teams and he sucked. And I struggle with Kamara. I really do. But it's a good spot for Kamara.
Your flow chart's going to like him.
Yeah, definitely going to like him. Definitely.
But yeah, for the spread, I'm staying away from this game. Honestly, this is a game I'll pass on. But if I had to pick, I'd take the points. ODB, what say you?
I take the Saints. I'm not. I don't believe in the Panthers at all. I think they're trash. This team still has a chance at the playoffs. And if it's Carr, I think you get a little bit better of the quarterback, even though he's been terrible. And if it's not Carr, I think you may even get a more spirited effort from the team. I think the team kind of, like Jameis has that kind of, like I think the team just likes him. Like he's the rally guy. So for 1 game or 2 games, he can rally the team. Taysom, we need him for the best ball, that's for sure. We're hurting. So having a tight end, do what he does, could be good for us. Yeah, I don't really like a whole lot. I mean, Olave is just kind of a target machine. So, but I don't know what he would be with Jameis. But hey, maybe he catches a long one. So Olave's fine, but I mean, I'd rather play Chase at 7,600 than Olave at 7,000. Better environment, I think. But I mean, we saw Carolina get torched by Mike Evans. So if Shaheed comes back, then if you want to long shot him, Juwan Johnson, nobody's going to want to play him after he put up a big 0 last week. He's still like their number 1 tight end. He had a few targets last week, and he was good the week before. But just like with tight ends, sometimes they put up zeros. So I don't know. I don't really like a whole lot. I would lean towards the Saints just because I'm just anti-Carolina. Just like with the Patriots and Carolina, I just never feel like I want to play either of them.
All right, there we go, man. These 1 p.m. games are, they're rough.
Yeah, tough 1 p.m. slate for sure.
Tough. We got 2 more here to talk about. We got Tampa Bay and Atlanta, 2.5 point spread, 39.5 total in this game. And if I'm not wrong, both these teams are, I think the records are pretty close. I want to pull up the standings, but I think this is kind of a pretty big game for these teams.
They got to both be around 500, so it's got to be a big game.
Yeah, so these teams right now are Atlanta's in the lead in the division. Tampa Bay and the Saints are tied behind them. So this is a huge game. They're 1 game back of Atlanta. Man, 6-6 for the Falcons, 6-7 and 6-7 for the Saints. I mean, this is a huge game here for the division. So at least it's a meaningful game. Tony, I don't like targeting Atlanta Falcons games. Mike Evans has been absolutely destroying teams recently. I mean, just absolutely destroying teams. And this is with bad Baker Mayfield. And he's just been making ridiculous plays after ridiculous plays.
Ever since Travis Mangone said he was going to play Godwin over him, it made him mad. It motivated him.
It was like when you said to buy low on CeeDee Lamb and then he dropped 40 burgers for the next 6 weeks.
Mike Evans is just the man. Like he's just a guy you got to play every week.
I mean, he's a beast. Now, are you playing him here in this spot against Atlanta?
I haven't played an Atlanta game all year fantasy-wise, and I hate Atlanta games. So the same thing I say every week with Evans. I'm leaving him in the player pool. He's not going to be my favorite against Atlanta, but he could nuke any single time because he just crushes people. But I don't think he'll be one of my favorites. He'll definitely be a decent percentage in my 150, though. And I don't see anything else in this game, though. And I like Atlanta to win. I just think it's a pretty good spot for Atlanta, how they match up. But fantasy-wise, I definitely don't see anything.
Yeah, ODB, what say you here in this spot?
I don't really like either of these teams in general. So I probably would lean on the spread with the Bucs just because I just think it's a pure coin flip game. I think both these teams are pretty dusty overall. Nothing really. I know Evans is the guy. I mean, he's great, whatever. If I'm going to look in that price range, I don't know. I'm more likely to take Chase or Amon-Ra than I am Evans, but that's just because I feel like those guys have the same ceiling and better floors. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't really have a strong take here.
We got our Borlanda in chat. He says AJ Terrell should be out. He got a concussion, I think it was last game. So if he's
Landa likes that Philadelphia secondary, I'll tell you that much.
The one that's been getting torched?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. That's not a good look, Landa. That's not a good look. Debo owned them by himself. Literally by himself.
It was raining in Philly back-to-back weeks too.
Does that matter?
Landa was riding me in there about my flow chart. He said, you can't have that spot because it's been number one every week, right? Like the Philly, because it just is.
The Philly.
He's like, you can't put it all because they shut down some shitty team. They shut down. Who did I have that played Philly that sucked? Who was it, Landa? Who sucked the 1 week? But it was a bad team. There you go. I first of all, I love Landa. I do. We're allowed to argue it, and we were arguing. I can't remember who they played, though. They played some shitty team.
That's how a man takes an out, people.
Oh, they played the Chiefs. I said some shitty team. It was the Chiefs.
The Chiefs.
But
some shitty team.
They didn't have any receivers, and it didn't work. But then they played Dallas and San Fran and got pounded. But I was going to bring up Al Money, too, because so he said this 4,600. I never play the Falcons receivers. So I just wanted to double check again, just because this is why I like having an active chat, because it makes you think. And I never have done this, and I don't want to be stubborn with stuff. I want to stay open-minded. So I looked at the flow chart for receivers, and my God, Tampa's bad against Drake London. They get destroyed by receiver number ones, and Drake London's in play for me. So I appreciate the comment because, man, are they bad. They're almost as bad as Philly against these receivers. They've given up 7 top 7 receivers this year. Like, just crazy how bad they've been. And, I'm going to play Drake London a little bit because of that message. He's only 4,600.
All right, so Mike Evans, Drake London, mini stack.
I really like that, to be honest. I like that a lot.
Let's see here. Can we talk? Oh, we're getting to this game. My man, we're getting this game, Javon. We're going to talk about 60-year-old Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco didn't look good last week. I'll admit it.
I'll tell you right now, if Joe Flacco, I said this last week, if the man can stay upright and he doesn't get hit, he can sling the football.
Which he's not going to stay upright every week.
He's not going to stay upright every week. You know what I mean? That's the key. But against teams that he can stay upright against, he can still throw it. So, all right. Good comment. Let's move to the Cleveland game here. We got the Browns at home, 3.5-point favorites here against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And it's a 30.5 total in this game. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some type of weather in this game too. Trevor Lawrence has a high ankle sprain. They didn't just say he's out for this week. I don't imagine he would play. But, Tony, we said that. Was it last year we said this after some bad injury? And he played. So,
he's
and
like
it wasn't
superhuman with injuries. Like, I don't know what he does, but he is superhuman with these injuries, so I wouldn't count him totally out. The spread says he's out, obviously 3.5, but if they ruled him in or something, that spread would move for sure.
I mean, you know what they're doing though. They're clearly like giving him four days.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, Friday, let's see how you look. Can you plant? Can you?
The way he was walking, I just can't believe it's even a possibility.
By the way, how does he not get a cart?
Everyone's talked about that. It doesn't even make any sense.
Your star quarterback, it's no cart. Like, come on,
Yeah.
man. I mean, tough times in that spot. But as for this game, Tony, I mean, 3.5 points. Your boy Beathard.
Yeah, baby, Beathard's back. Yes. I actually do like the over in this game too. It's only a 30.5 total right now on DraftKings. I said it last week, so I was on the Browns defense all year. I talked them up. People should have taken – I took a bunch of L's early in this show. I said the Browns D when they were talking it up on the Sunday show. I said they're a little banged up, and they just got destroyed. I don't care if he said no to the cart anyways. Put his ass on the cart. Like, you don't give him an option. He's your quarterback. But so I said to watch out for the Browns D because Myles Garrett's banged up. They got no quarterback. They know their season's over. I feel like they're going to be a little bit more exposed the rest of the way. And I'm not saying they're going to go in there and score a ton of points, but 30 is too low for this game. I think it goes over pretty easy, actually. I think it gets up in the 40s. And, yeah, I mean, Beathard's 4,900. I can play him with Ridley, 6,400. I don't love it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not. This is not a main team play. This is a Millie type
Tony,
play.
I forgot to tell you, too, Amari Cooper also has a concussion. A lot of concussions. So you might get Elijah Moore at 4,500 and Cedric Tillman at 3,400.
This is your dream, Cedric Tillman week. This is what you've been
this
waiting
it?
for.
This is what I've been waiting for. I think it is what I've been waiting for.
So you got, and again, I want people to understand what I'm saying. And the people that I'm not saying this is a main team, but in the Millie, you have both quarterbacks in the 4Ks. You have receivers you can play in the 4Ks, Elijah Moore, Evan Ingram, like you said, Tillman, Parker Washington, who crushed and won someone $500K. All these guys are cheap. I think we see some points, and I think these guys are going to be 100% unowned. Elijah Moore looked good with Flacco. I think this game is just a tad sneaky in a Millie Maker format.
Yeah, I mean, from what I'm saying, like, again, this game's going to have some weather, some wind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If the weather's bad, I won't be on it.
Could be rain. Like, yeah. I don't know. But so keep an eye on the weather. It looks like there's a lot of potential weather spots here on this slate. So just keep an eye on that. But, if the weather turns out to be like, okay, I'm with you. I would actually want to play some of these guys. If the weather
ended up good and certain things happen, I bet that total starts to come up a little bit.
Creep up a little bit.
That total's the same as the New England-Pittsburgh game. These teams have to have more score. I mean, Jacksonville just was in a freaking shootout.
It is crazy, though. We're getting Joe Flacco against CJ Beathard. And then we get, we're getting
That's why
so
the total's 30. You just said it.
It's unbelievable.
Cedric Tillman played 93% of the snaps, by the way.
Oh, yeah. He was out there a ton. ODB, what do you think?
He's definitely going to hate our takes on this game.
Well, the one thing that I do have a strong opinion on is Elijah Moore is going to be one of the worst plays on the slate. That's for sure. Because he's going to be all week long. I mean, the narrative of Joe Flacco and whatever, he had one good game with the Jets, then he had a good game this week, and then Cooper. He's going to be so high owned, and whenever these 4,500 receivers are high owned in shitty environments, just going to take the pass. He's going to be an awful play. Don't play fucking Elijah Moore. Play Tillman if you want to play Tillman. He's fine. Play Njoku if you want to play him. Don't play Elijah Moore. He's going to be a fucking 40%, and he's not very good. And Flacco's not very good.
Your takes are all right. Your take's correct. He's not going to be high owned, though.
You want to bet?
Yeah, I definitely want to bet. It's a 30 total. I don't want your money. We can do a friendly bet on this show. But he's not going to be high owned. It's a 30
He's going to be high owned. It doesn't matter.
His
it doesn't matter.
Bad, and the total's bad.
You
If
wait.
his projection's bad, then he's not going to be high out.
Yeah, but his projection's not. You wait. The competing site is going to pump up Elijah Moore because they trust me. Elijah
There's
Moore is
no
going to be on.
physical ways above 20%. Like, there's no way.
I
But
would.
your point is still correct, though. I agree with your
I
point.
think Tillman's fine. The play Zay Jones. I mean, if you're going to play somebody in this game,
I do love
Zay
Zay Jones. I'm glad you brought that up. I love Zay Jones.
Christian Kirk's out, and it's 3,700.
God, I do love Zay Jones. That's a good
And
call.
nobody wants to play receivers versus Cleveland. If you're going to play anybody in this game, Zay Jones is by far. That's not even
Zay
close.
Jones and Tillman, the cheap stack.
I think it's that Washington kid, honestly. But
God, and Washington.
he played a ton after that. After Christian Kirk, like way more than Tim Jones.
Yeah, but you've got Beathard throwing to a bad receiver. Like that's just
not
not how.
his damn name. Beat hard.
Whatever. That's not how it works. Yeah, Trevor Lawrence might have fitted into this bad receiver in good spots. Beat hard is not going to fit it into a bad receiver. Like you got to be open.
Best part is I got to be the only one in the whole world with a beat hard jersey.
You're definitely one of the only
Here's
people.
the thing: you can't play bad receivers getting the ball from bad quarterbacks. If you're gonna have a bad quarterback, you have to have a receiver that will go and either be very open or take the ball down in space. You can't be a bad receiver getting the ball from a bad quarterback.
I think Zay Jones might be the best play on the slate. I think ODB's guy. I love Zay Jones.
Yeah, Zay Jones is a good receiver, and he's going to be open, and he's going to have the target. So,
Beathard did get screwed, Bill, too. He threw that deep ball, and they called the weakest hold ever. Like, that was bullshit.
No, that was clearly a hold.
Oh,
I mean, while the game was going on, while that play was in the air, I said
you can call that every
right
play.
There. No, but that guy just wrapped him up. That was not a bad call. There have been bad calls in the NFL. That was not a bad call. Before the flag came out, I was like, "That's holding. This play doesn't matter." But look,
there's
this
holding
game. Stay away from this game.
Every play. I hate most of them.
There's way too many unknowns in this game. There's a lot of. If you have a strong take on this game, you're just guessing. We don't know how Beathard's going to play. We don't know how Flacco, off of 7 days rest, getting beaten up after being on his couch for 2 years, is going to play. Like, just stop. Like, this is not a game that we need to be playing. This is not a game you need to be betting. This is nobody fucking knows what's going to happen here. There's way too many unknowns. If you want to play a cheap
fun part
piece,
for DFS ODB, nobody knows.
That's fine.
So there's so many options.
The ceilings on these guys are not good enough. You cannot play these. You cannot have these guys put a piece in. Put Zay Jones in. Spend up for Ingram because play in JUCO. That's fine. If you want to put Tillman in one thing, fine. You cannot stack this game. This game has no ceiling. This is not a ceiling game. He's not going to win. You're not going to win with this. You're just burning money. Just stop. Stop the bullshit. Let's move on to a real game that we can actually fucking win some money at. I have COVID and I'm very stuffed up right now, so apologize for my rudeness.
Cheap plays.
We love rudeness on this show. Rudeness is how we thrive.
Yeah, exactly. This is what we want here. Where was it? I saw someone. ODB. COVID brain, good for ODB. He's straight fire right now. See? All right, let's go to the 4 o'clock games here. And what do we got here? 4 games at 4. Yeah, 4 games. All right, Seattle and San Francisco. These two teams played back on, I think it was Thanksgiving night. San Francisco won, obviously, handily. You got was it Thanksgiving night or was that the Cowboys?
It was Thanksgiving night.
Yeah. So 10.5 point spread. San Fran's favored in San Fran, and we got a 47 total. Seattle coming off a pretty good offensive outing, I would say, against Dallas, where they looked really good. They had a shot to win the game. They were in the game. Couldn't get it done, but they played well. You know what I mean? They played well. But their defense could not stop Dallas. And after what we saw last, I don't know how their defense stopped San Fran after what we saw the last 2 weeks. So, I mean, 47 total, boys. What do we think here, ODB?
Well, all I've heard is, you're giving all these points to Seattle. This line is not indicative of what's real, blah, blah, blah. All like a lot of nonsense in this line. The reality was they were 7-point favorite in Seattle. It was easy win. Like, I mean, I had San Francisco in that. You take 2.5 points home field advantage for the Seahawks. You put probably 2 points for the Niners. That's 4.5 points different. So that puts us right at where we're at here with around 10, 11, 11 and a half, whatever. So I think this line is fine. If San Francisco wants to roll this game, they're going to roll. The only way San Francisco doesn't roll this game is if they're too busy reading the press clippings. But I think these dudes, this is the bully. Like, this is the little brother, and they're going to just smack him in the nose like they do every single time they play him. They out-physical Seattle every single time they play them. They did it in the playoffs last year. They did it on Thanksgiving night. I think they did it the game before last year. San Francisco is just a dominant team right now that they don't even have to have their best to win. That's the thing. Like, some of these teams, are precision based and all these things. San Francisco wins because they out-tough you. Like, they give the ball to Debo in space and he just runs you over. They give the ball to C-Mac, he runs you over. Like, they give the ball to Kittle, he runs you over. They run the ball behind Trent Williams, he runs you over. Like, those things, you don't have to be your best. You just have to be you. So I think it's San Francisco or nothing for me. And if you want to come back to San Francisco in DFS, that's fine. I like when these teams have a lot of weapons to kind of go against the guys who went off the week before and choose the other guys, because I feel like these coaches and these quarterbacks, like, they want to keep everybody happy. So Debo got his last week. I'd probably get off Debo this week and maybe go towards Kittle or Ayuk, because you got to keep all your stars happy. So Ayuk and Kittle had the mediocre games last week. I would probably go more towards them. Not sure what the flow chart says, but that's kind of where I would go. Same thing with Seattle. Like, maybe I would go Lockett instead of Metcalf, just because Metcalf went off last week. But I don't even think you have to come back. Like, San Francisco D might just destroy Geno. So yeah, that's kind of my take here.
All right, like it. I mean, Tony, CMC, he's turning it up. I mean, he's expensive. I think he's the most expensive play on the board, 9,200 on DraftKings. But man, he's been great. He's been consistent. 33 last time out against Seattle. I think I can make the case easily that he's the safest spend up on the board. I think, for sure. So what are we doing here with San Fran?
Yeah, I mean, this spot just looks easy to me. I mean, the last 4 times they've played, they've pounded them. I just don't see how Seattle competes. The only thing is just the letdown spot where, like ODB said, where they don't come to play, which could happen. I mean, teams come out flat, especially after big wins in a row and stuff. But conference game or division game, I think they pound them. Kittle in the history versus Seattle, I was glad ODB said this, because I like doing the same thing when guys crush, like Debo last week. I really don't play him as much this week. And I know that doesn't mean anything, but with any little edge in tournaments is how I like to do it. And it's more field-based, and that's kind of what we do. So I like Kittle this week. I always like him versus Seattle anyways. He didn't crush the last 2 weeks. He didn't crush on Thanksgiving versus this team. I think it's a Kittle week. I think obviously McCaffrey too. McCaffrey's going to – when you got a guy that's almost a deadlock to go over 100 and a touchdown, I mean, you're talking – you're giving him like a 20-point floor even if he doesn't crush. One of the best plays. I love Kittle. I think they just dispose of Seattle. It's a game I would not run back a Seattle guy. I don't see anyone from Seattle. The only guy I would even think of is Charbonnet just because of his workload, but he's hurt. He's banged up. So – now, I think San Fran just pounds them, honestly. I think they win by 20+.
Yep, I like it. Let's move on to the Vikings and the Raiders here in Las Vegas. 3-point spread. The Vikings are favored. It's a 40-point total in this game here. And Justin Jefferson, I think, is looking good and should possibly return. So, yeah.
Be back.
So I mean, I don't know about you guys, but Josh Dobbs was getting blown for weeks. And then all of a sudden he has the one bad game. I think it was against the Bears. Then they get the bye week. I think both of these teams are coming off bye, if I remember correctly. Both these teams are coming off bye. But how don't we like Minnesota here. What am I missing? Why aren't we just hammering Minnesota in this spot? The Raiders, I'm sorry. I think this is an easy spot. The Vikings, let's see if panel thinks I'm wrong. ODB?
I agree. I mean, this just tells you the recency bias of people. I mean, Josh Dobbs, like everybody absolutely loved him. They were getting bet up everywhere. The lines were super inflated, and then all of a sudden, he has a game where, he made a couple questionable decisions, but he has 2 weeks to work on the offense. You get the number one playmaker back. I mean, I think we totally agree that the Raiders are just complete trash. I love the Vikings this week. I think that if they would have just beat the Bears, would have just been a normal game. Maybe they didn't play that well. That this line's like 4.5 or something. Do people forget how bad this Raiders team is? This Raiders team is not good at all. I think this is a sneaky game too. It's indoors. We don't have to worry about weather. There's a lot of really good 4:00 games too, or 1:00 games, depending on where you are in the country. But there's in the late slate. So maybe some of these guys go overlooked. TJ Hawkinson's the best tight end in football, and it's not even particularly close at this point. If you want to go back to JJ, fine. If you want to play Dobbs, you want to play a stack, you want to play Addison. I mean, this game has a lot of shootout potential, and I love the Vikings in this spot. I think we're getting like a lot of nice value at 2.5. I'm real happy it's on the inside of 3 rather than the outside of 3. I love the Vikings here. I couldn't agree more with you, JSU.
Yeah, let's see if we can make it 3 for 3 here. Boss Tony, do you like the Vikings at 2.5, 3, depending on where you see it?
I like the Vikings as far as winning. I don't like them as far as fantasy, though. The Raiders are as bad of a team fantasy-wise. They're the opposite of Washington, put it that way. Washington's the nut spots. The Raiders, I mean, every game is 17-14 with the Raiders, and this total is only 40. They play so freaking slow because they run the ball every play. There's just no plays whatsoever. But the conditions are good. I just think the Raiders – I've had the Raiders bookmarked for like a month now as the worst fantasy team just because they play slow and they run the ball and there's just no plays. And their defense has a little bit of a pass rush and stuff like that. So I do agree that I think the Raiders are a dead team. I love betting Minnesota in this spot. I can't see Minnesota not covering the 3. I love Minnesota. But the flip side is I don't like any of the fantasy guys. I don't think – even Jefferson's projection's really low. I don't think they let him come back and play like 96% of the snaps or something crazy. I just think it's a stay away from me fantasy wise. So I half agree with you guys. I love Minnesota. I just don't love it fantasy wise.
That's perfect because that's what.
Well, then I agree with you guys if you don't like it fantasy wise.
I love Minnesota as the bet.
Yeah, I agree. How about a little sneaky under-owned, big ceiling Jordan Addison? Like he only needs a couple plays to get there, and 5,500. Like that dude can get plays. He could be really low owned in a Millie type format.
I like that call, especially with Jefferson back.
Yeah, and we saw like Calvin Austin got behind this defense for Pittsburgh. I mean, we've seen guys get behind them, and yeah, I generally like the running backs versus the Raiders. I feel like they give up stuff, but you can't really play the Vikings running backs because they're just not very good and they split time. But
so you want to know how good your point is? This is why I like the flow chart right here, because I can answer when you say that. You just called that literally perfect. The Raiders have given up 6 different top 5 performances to running backs, but that also you can't really click on Madison. So you just said that literally perfectly.
Yeah, I mean that's just my eye test. I don't have the flow chart in front
You were
of me,
right.
but
Yeah. You couldn't be more right.
Yeah, I mean, I watch NFL, so I mean, most of my things are just more my feel, and that's kind of I always lean towards running backs when they play the Raiders. But Addison in a Millie Maker type format, that guy can break games. Like he can have a Shaheed type game. So like he could have 3 catches for 120 and a touchdown. Like that's just the kind of guy he is. And with Addison and with JJ and with Hawk, he's gonna be.
I love that.
He's going to have the best of the coverages for sure.
And
So.
even if it's a low-scoring game, he could crush. So I love that call.
All right, like it. Let's go to the last two games on the slate here. We'll go with Denver and the Chargers first here. We got Denver versus LA Chargers, 44 total, 2.5-point spread in LA. Chargers are favored. I mean, I think this game is going to be an interesting game for fantasy for sure. In LA, both teams got weapons. I think this could be a good game to have pieces of and stack up a little bit. But as for who wins, I'm taking the Broncos. I just don't trust the Chargers. They look terrible against the Patriots, and the Patriots are bad. They look terrible. I can't trust that team. I'm just going to go with the Broncos here with the 2.5. Actually, don't even give me the points. I'm just going to take them on the money line because they're going to win. So easy dub for my Broncos here. Tony, why do you like the Chargers?
They look so bad. I agree with you. The Patriots. I mean, what was it, 6-0?
It kills them to say it. It kills them. So I look at them saying.
I mean, 6-0. If you ever, it should be just declared a tie. If neither team scores double digits, it should just be, or they both lose. It should just be a double loss.
What was the odds for no touchdowns in the whole game, Tony?
And nothing happened the entire game either. Like, it was just so stupid. I don't like the Broncos either. I don't like this game. I wouldn't add anything by talking about it. I hate this game.
All right, ODB.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like this game too much. I don't have the flow chart in front of me, but I bet Gerald Everett's a pretty good play. I mean, if Brevin Jordan can get off versus the Broncos, then I'm going to guess Gerald Everett at 3,000 or whatever his low price is going to be able to get off. Eckler 7,600. I mean, that's cheap for a dude who's like, there's only a few guys who really have his type of ceiling and floor. So he's pretty cheap. I like him. I mean, I always lean Chargers, you know that, and they always, disappoint me. But this is the time of year when they've, basically shot themselves in the dick the whole season, where they kind of come back and make us believe again, and then shoot themselves in the dick again at the end of the year. So I'd probably lean Chargers just because that's just what the Chargers do. But Eckler at 7,600 seems like good, and Everett seems good. But the Broncos don't really give up a whole lot, I don't think, of scores. So kind of tough. Yeah, I don't really not strong opinion. But Eckler 7,600 seems really, really freaking cheap to me. I don't understand why he's so cheap. Maybe because Kelly stole some work last week. I don't know.
Let's see. Did he steal? Let's see here. I'll tell you right now if he got any extra work. Joshua Kelly, 42% of the snaps. Austin Eckler, 57. So
yeah, that's why.
Yeah,
but I mean, this is a home game. Eckler seems to do well at home.
I think it could be an Eckler smash spot. Denver
Eckler
struggles.
7,600 is Eckler 7,600 is stupid. Like, that dude hasn't been 7,600 for a while, has he?
Nope. And his role's a little different. I think a lot of people are getting down on Eckler. I don't think I've played him like all year, except for like in showdowns, obviously. But like, yeah, he hasn't been that great recently too. Coming off,
they still do give him the goal line carries. I mean, when they get down there, it's still Eckler. It's not Kelly. Kelly might get a little more work inside the 20s. I mean, outside the 20s, like the 20 to 20. But I think when it gets down to crunch time, it seems like it's Eckler. What do you think, Big T?
I mean, I like the Eckler call. Yeah, I mean, I don't love the game, but he'd be the
Everett,
one.
Everett, I'm right on Everett, huh?
Yeah, you're 100% right. Denver is terrible against tight ends. Terrible.
There you go. All right, last game on the slate here: Buffalo and Kansas City. This is
Chiefs
the best
haters
game.
unite. I wish we could put ODB's GIF up right now that he put on Twitter. Just dance it across the screen as we go into this game. How could anyone not take Buffalo in this game?
Of course,
You know what's crazy?
this game's in Kansas City, though.
Always.
Oh,
It's the Brady rule. Brady always played every big game at home too, like every freaking time.
You know what's crazy is that
Mahomes.
the line makers think Buffalo is a better football team on a neutral site. This line right now is, what is this, 1.5? This line is 1.5. They're telling you that the Bills are a better team than the Chiefs.
I think
they are a better team.
Just think about that.
I think they are.
I don't even think they are. I know for a fact they are. Like I know they are.
Yeah.
But yet the Chiefs are the favorite in the to win the AFC. I mean, it's just crazy. Like, we've been on this from the beginning, and we're just being shown that, like, the money says we're right.
Yeah.
While we get all this
I
criticism,
think we are
from the
right. I
Chiefs.
think people just think the Chiefs are good still, and I think we got a gift again. I think we're finishing this show up with a freaking gift. And don't get me wrong, because we're all on the Buffalo futures too. Like, we're kind of all in on this Buffalo spot right here. We need them to win. If they lose, we're getting double dipped because we're losing our futures too. But we're going to win, so it doesn't matter.
We are going to win. I feel it. It's crazy, but, Buffalo in Kansas City, 1.5 point spread, 48.5 total. I think for DFS, I think the Buffalo side is going to be a good side, obviously. I think you can definitely pick some plays. The harder side is the Kansas City side because they're the tough side to figure out when it comes to some of these price tags. Travis Kelce, 7,800. And I mean, he hasn't been worth that price tag for weeks now. You know what I mean? So I don't know if Taylor's going to be at the game. I don't know if she's got the magic this week, if she's going to be there. I have no idea. All I know is that Travis Kelce for weeks now has not looked great. And I don't know if it's teams figuring him out. I don't know if it's
I think it's the teams finally realized they have no one else. Like, just double, triple team this guy.
I mean, yeah, but is it also him, like, he's got other things going on. He's,
I don't blame him for that either, by the way.
Yeah,
She's
I
got
don't
more
either.
money than anyone. I'd be doing that too. I'd have her as a priority over football as well.
100%. I'm just saying, do you think that's more playing?
It has to at least impact him a little. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah, just a little bit. So, which is huge though for this Kansas City team because they need him. Like, if he's not there, Tony, they have no one else to rely on. You know what I mean? Like, there's no one else that can be your number one. They need him to be the number one. So,
correct. They have no chance unless he has big games.
Big games. Big games.
Which
like
in
the playoffs.
Obviously he can.
In the playoffs, though, Tony, he has to be a monster.
Yeah.
Like,
every week.
He has to be. Yeah. All right. So we all think Buffalo wins this game. My question is, do we think this game goes over? Do we think this game goes under? How do we like it for DFS? Because we all agree that Buffalo's the side we're taking. So, Tony, I mean, you're leading the bandwagon, so I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I don't think it goes over. I don't think Kansas City can score points really right now. I'd love Buffalo. I don't love the total either way. Like, I'm not saying I'm just going to go in and pound the under, but I don't like the over. If a lean is the under for me, just because I don't think Kansas City can score that much. I think they're going to try to slow it down and run the ball like they keep wanting to do with Pacheco. I don't love that. I love Buffalo. As far as fantasy, though, I'm not like overly in love with this spot. Like last week where Buffalo played Philly, I absolutely loved it. When Buffalo played whoever else they played recently, I loved it. I don't love it because Kansas City's defense is okay. I don't know. I like the bet side more than the DFS. I'm sure I'll like pieces like Diggs. I know Gabe Davis has always been really good against Kansas City, a couple of really big spots. You got difference. I mean, like Rashee Rice at 5,400, I think is a pretty good play against Buffalo's secondary as their only receiver in there. I'm just looking at some of these cheaper guys. I mean, I just don't love this game as much as I probably should fantasy-wise. None of the prices stick out that great. Josh Allen for sure. Like if I play Josh Allen with one pass catcher, I think that's a pretty good route. Maybe run it back with Rashee Rice. But this isn't like an overstack game to me. I don't think it's a 34-31 like the playoff type game. So for me, I'm just heavier on the bets than the DFS as of now.
ODB, what say you about the DFS side, or these plays?
I agree entirely. I like the bet side. I think Kansas City's defense has been good, and I think Kansas City offense is not very good. I think there are just too many question marks. There are too many floors on Kansas City and not enough ceilings. So I don't really think that's necessary. I think the Gabe Davis narrative is going to be high, and I think he's going to get a little overinflated. For a guy at that price tag, he just hasn't shown the ability to do it week in, week out. Yeah, he had that ceiling game a few years ago, but obviously Kansas City knows that. So like they're going to work on that. I'd much rather take. I mean, I think him and Jordan Addison are similar, like floor ceiling type guys at similar prices. I'd much rather just gamble on an Addison at probably a third of the ownership than I would a Gabe Davis. So yeah, I don't really like much on the fantasy side. The prices are high. The game environment doesn't seem like it's going to be a shootout to me. I think this is probably more of a 24-17 game where, I mean, yeah, Diggs always is a threat to get his, but he's the highest price guy on the board. So, I mean, like a Diggs getting his is not like a Tyreek Hill getting his.
Something's been off with them too, right? Like, don't you guys agree? Like, something's been weird with them this year.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like him and Josh are off, or like there's not as much. It seems like he's not going to him as
even
that,
just
like,
being at that Bengals game though, and actually because we were sitting on the Bills sideline right behind you could see them, and they just were fighting like every time on the sideline, like just yelling.
I mean, if I was gonna try to force something in, and if I was like, I want a piece of this game, maybe a Shakir or something. You know, he's been getting a lot of targets. He's 3,900. He doesn't need a lot of volume to go off. But I'm just probably staying off of it. I would lean towards the Bills. The Bills, I mean, we're on the Bills bet side. I'm just going to probably sit this one out. There's a lot of other good spots in these late windows that you can play. Yeah, I think I'd rather just go that route. I mean, I trust Eckler more at cheaper price than Diggs.
So if you go through a lot of like Kansas City's numbers and stuff like that, it'll show like kind of what you guys are talking about, where like they're not letting guys like just absolutely go off on them, but they are giving up production. You know what I mean? Like they did give up production to those Green Bay wide receivers. I think it was Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy both caught a touchdown against Denver. Like they do give up some. They just like not the monster production. So I don't know if it's a Diggs week, but I do think the Packers showed a little bit of how you beat them. And this is maybe another reason why for fantasy we don't like them. Like you can run on them for sure. And we don't really love James Cook. They do the thing with Lat Murray, Ty Johnson. So maybe that's not a thing. But I just have this feeling that Josh Allen's going to have a monster game. And it could be him that runs two in. Like I could easily see him having a stat line where he has like 4 touchdowns, but 2 of them are rushing. And he's got like a big rushing game here. So I'm probably not going to spend up for Diggs, but I will have some Josh Allen in fantasy for sure. And I like the Shakir idea because he doesn't need a lot as long as Dawson Knox. I don't think he's back. I know he has the 21-day window.
I think he'll be back for the record. I don't know if we don't need that.
Okay.
We'll know before then anyways. I'm just throwing it out there. I think he'll be back.
Okay, so maybe he will be back. So, yeah, I mean, maybe just Gabe Davis or Shakir as the 2 guys that I'll look at because, like I said, they don't give up monster production, but they will give up shots. And like Christian Watson did, like Gabe Davis could catch 2 touchdowns. So, yeah, I like Josh Allen here. I don't even know if I want to run it back. I don't think I need to with Kansas City.
I freaking hate the Chiefs. I know we're the Chiefs haters and we make jokes about it, but I hate the Chiefs.
Maybe Rice is like the one guy.
He's the only guy I could even make a case for.
I think he's the only guy. Yep, you're right.
I mean, if I was going to run,
who else? Like you can always play Kelsey, obviously 7,800.
Play Watson. I mean, if you need to force somebody in there, like he's cheap and he gets big plays every now and again. That's the thing. I mean, this just tells you why we don't like this Chiefs team. I mean, look at the DFS pricing. Like their number one receiver is Rashid Rice at like 5,000. The number two is
They're in
like
one of the
Justin
highest totals
Watson.
of the week versus Buffalo, and we can't find plays at
Can't
home.
find
Yeah.
any plays. We're like,
Yeah.
fine. We can play this one guy, maybe.
They suck. They do suck. We're not
They
haters
suck.
because we don't like Kansas City. We're haters because they suck.
And we were right about them sucking.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like with the Chiefs, like that you could play. The Packers guys had good games. The Broncos guys had good games. They were 4,000. They were 6,000. They were $5,000 guys.
Yeah.
Like that's fine. You just can't play like big dollar. You can't spend big dollars versus the Chiefs. Like the Chiefs defense is good. Like of all the things, if the Chiefs win, it's going to be because Patrick Mahomes makes a couple of great scrambles and finds some random ass guy or Kelsey, and because the defense stops them. So like that just means that from a fantasy perspective, it's just not very good. Like it's just not a good environment. Like Gabe Davis's floor is just not high enough for 53. I mean, the guy has several zeros on the card this year. I'm not paying. You can't pay 5,000 something to go versus a good secondary that has zeros on the board. Just and people are going to want to play this game, so he's going to get inflated. He's going to get inflated, and he shouldn't be this high. Like when you can play Zay Flowers, you can play Zay Flowers, you can play Tyler Lockett, you can play Addison. Like all these guys, Drake London, like all these guys are cheaper and have higher ceilings.
Yeah, but the good thing about this game is the price tags are going to keep people from fully stacking this game. So it's a tough game to like fully stack. But I want to know what the odds are for Josh Allen to run in 2 touchdowns because
I like Allen. If you want to play,
he scored.
He's running. If you can find if enough value opens up, play Allen by himself.
I might honestly do it. I might do it. Plus 1,200. Okay. I bet that.
I do love Allen. I agree with you guys totally. Like, I don't. It could be the move to play naked Josh. I mean, I'm very confident he's going to.
Shakir's 3,900. Like, if you need to pair him with someone, like
I'm very confident Josh Allen crushes. That's the one thing I'm confident in this game is that he crushes.
Yeah, like for DFS, I just like if I play him, I feel very confident. Like if I played him on all my teams, I feel very
like he's
confident.
I mean, even if he gets really unlucky in touchdowns, he's still getting 20.
Exactly. You know
well,
what I mean?
and there's not a whole lot of quarterback options. I mean, like every week we just lose a quarterback. So I mean, just to lock in, his floor is 25. So or 20, 25. So
he's
might as well just.
He knows their season's on the line too. Like he's gonna crush.
That's what I mean, though. You think when the season's on the line, he's not tucking and running?
Yeah.
What's his prop to get like 100 rushing yards?
Yeah,
he's gonna run.
I think you guys are onto it.
He's gonna run. He's gonna run in touchdowns. He's gonna go over his rushing prop. This is a meaningful game. They're gonna go for it on 4th down, Tony. They're gonna be aggressive. This game is like this game does not mean as much to the Chiefs as it does to the Bills, but like for sure. So the Bills are going to play this game like it's their season almost on the line, right? Are they completely dead if they lose? They're
not completely, but they are very close to completely.
So that's what I mean, though. You're going to get a team who's literally like they're not going to
coming off a bye, coming off a bye. So Allen's as healthy as ever.
And the Chiefs played on what month was it?
So the Bills still have to play the Cowboys and the Dolphins. So,
yeah, they have to win this game.
I mean, they pretty much got to win unless.
I mean, they did handle the Dolphins last time.
I'm not saying, and that's kind of my point with our futures, though. To start the show, they just need to run off some wins. They say they beat Kansas City and then Dallas and then Miami. If they somehow got in the playoffs, winning 5 in a row with those being 3 of them, people are going to be like, "How the hell did you guys get 50-1 on Buffalo?"
They'll be one of those teams that sneaks in and they're riding the wave and they just ride that wave all the way through. Like,
I mean, if you guaranteed they'd be in the playoffs right now, they'd be 8-1,
100%,
6-1, maybe. Like, you're just getting so much value that they can win. And with us liking them over the Chiefs, the bet's even better because if they win, I mean, their chances go up exponentially.
Love it. All right, well, there we go, people. Lock it down. Josh Allen rushing plus 1,200 for 2 touchdowns on the ground for Josh Allen. We're gonna lock
that is a good
in.
bet. That's a good bet.
We're gonna lock it in here in a sec. So hope you guys enjoyed the show.
Because he's gonna be running. That's a good bet. 12-1.
He's gonna run. Yeah, I feel good about that. So. All right, we're in. Josh Allen, guys, hope you enjoyed the show. Obviously, we got the Print Factory show for the Showdown slate tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern time again tomorrow for the Patriots and the Steelers. So come back, join us for that game. ODB, appreciate you as always joining us here. You can check out all his picks, everything he gives out on Twitter. He is in our Discord as well. So if you want to sign up and use code Giblets44, get yourself 44% off your first month.
Send him a message in Discord. See if
you can shoot him a message. Yeah, exactly. You can shoot him a message in there. So it might take him a week and a half to respond, but
maybe I'll try to figure out Discord while I'm down with the COVID.
There you go.
It would be great if you just tag somebody in there. Just get in there and send it.
Just right now. ODB is going to get like 50 messages one day. Tony won't know what to do with it when people realize
he's not even going to know he gets them though.
Yeah.
So it's not going to matter.
Yeah, I have no idea. I just pulled up Discord here on the computer. It said you're on another device.
Yep.
Probably on my phone.
There you go. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you guys next time. Good luck to everyone in all your contests. We'll be back for NBA in about an hour. I'll be on the Up to Lock show. Me, Kay Fallick, Holden, taking you guys up to lock for NBA. So if you like NBA winners, code Giblets 44 get you 44% off. We'll see you next time for Big T, ODB, and myself, JSU. We're out.